We need to fight to start this work. The establishment of an advanced society. As much as we like to say that the United States is the richest country in the history, or rather in modern history, who cares about how much gold is being amassed if we can't realize an advanced society with those resources? We're here to say that what we're living in right now is not an advanced society. It is fascism.
You heard that right. According to AOC, we are no longer an advanced society. We're a fascist country because we don't give the government more power to confiscate wealth and give it to politically favored classes. Who knew Venezuela and China were advanced societies? But if that's advancement, should we even know it or want it? Here to debate is Allie Beth Stuckey, host of the podcast Relatable, and Mark Levine. He's a member of the Virginia House of Delegates and a Democratic strategist. Mark, does AOC calling America a fascist country help Bernie Sanders with voters in the U.S.?
People don't care what AOC has to say. She doesn't represent the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi represents the Democratic Party. People are focused on why the Senate is covering up Donald Trump's crimes. That's what they're focused on.
Wait a minute,
I have to stop you.
Just one second. AOC doesn't represent the Democratic Party. She is the brain trust of the Democratic Party.
Only on Fox News.
Well, only on Fox News.
Nowhere else does her voice matter very much.
Nancy Pelosi moved the articles of impeachment because of pressure from AOC and the rest of her caucus, right?
That's ridiculous. No, Nancy Pelosi did the articles because moderate Democrats said that the corruption from Donald Trump actively soliciting a foreign power to rig our elections in his favor was too much for even them to ignore. That's why they wrote an article. All the national security people that came forward and testified, all of Trump's people that testified under oath.
Not one fact-based witness, Mark. Not one fact-based witness.
No. Let me ask you this. Why are they covering up the fact-based witnesses?
They were all once, twice, 3 times removed.
Okay. Why won't they let him testify? Giuliani testify.
Now you have to be quiet. Do me a Christmas favor, be quiet. Allie Beth, your turn. Your reaction. AOC is not important at all. Nancy is the head of the party.
AOC has tens of millions of followers on Twitter, and I guarantee you most of them are not Fox News hosts or Fox News watchers. They are Democratic socialists who see AOC as the future of the party. We've seen Nancy Pelosi kowtow to the squad several times in the past year since they have been elected. So Nancy Pelosi would like to think she's the head of the party, and maybe in some ways she is, but unfortunately the Democratic Party has given a lot of airtime and a lot of space to the squad. That's why Bernie Sanders, a candidate for the presidency for the Democratic ticket, has AOC up there and not Nancy Pelosi. Speaking for him, she says that this is not an advanced society. I would like to know some specifics from Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
Isn't Bernie using AOC? I mean, he really needs her to pull in that demographic, and she is capitalizing on Bernie Sanders by grabbing that far-left vote, which she knows this campaign's not going anywhere. She's going to take it and run with it when Bernie's dust.
There's one socialist in the United States Senate. There's one socialist in the United States House. That's the two of them. I'm afraid y'all really don't know how the Democratic Party works. Our focus is absolutely on Nancy Pelosi. She's the one that has our support. She's the one that we're focused on. And I got to say, we're focused on the crimes that Donald Trump has committed and whether or not the president is above the law. These are serious considerations. That's what Democrats are focused on, not what AOC has to say.
Bernie Sanders is looking to ruin Christmas dinner for millions of Americans. His campaign is sending something to supporters, young supporters, called Family Persuasion Guides. They read, "It's up to us as students and young people to make the moral appeal to our older relatives to join us in voting for Bernie, because let's face it, they won't be around for as long to deal with the consequences of this election, but we will be." I asked people on the street today what they thought of Bernie's approach to a politicized Christmas dinner. Watch. Bernie Sanders' campaign has sent out something he calls a family persuasion kit, and it's to encourage grandparents and parents to vote for Bernie. Is that a good idea during the holidays?
Yeah, if you're a fascist.
I think it's a good idea to encourage political acrimony and persuasion at the Christmas day.
Pushing that agenda, it's kind of a bad look on his part.
Would you support any political campaign telling you encourage your grandparents and parents to vote for a candidate?
You have to have your own mindset. You have to think for yourself.
Ali, why is the left so intent on ruining Christmas for families? This is like Grandma got run over by a Bernie.
Politics has pervaded, invaded, infected absolutely everything. But, you know, I hope at least these young people can report back to us. So any parent or grandparent or aunt or uncle out there, if you've got a Bernie supporting niece, nephew, child, grandchild coming home, be prepared to have a conversation with them and to tell them about the dangers of socialism. Maybe they'll learn a thing or two. I'm kind of excited about this.
Mark, shouldn't Christmas dinner, Hanukkah dinner, shouldn't this be a political free zone? I mean, I don't think grandparents or parents want to feel the burn right here, you know, right in the agita zone.
When I celebrate the holidays, my family always talks about politics. It's what we talk about, it's what we care about. I think good families understand that you can disagree politically and still be good family members, and I think that's actually a good goal for all of us this holiday season.
Okay, I want to share a few bites from the last Democratic debate. The pandering was so extreme. This is a bizarre promise from Elizabeth Warren.
Here's a promise I make. I will go to the Rose Garden once every year to read the names of transgender women, of people of color who have been killed in the past year. I will change the rules now that put people in prison based on their birth sex identification rather than their current identification.
Ali, does this work? There were 22 transgendered people killed last year. Compare that with 1,000+ women in domestic situations that were killed, or the hundreds of thousands of children aborted each year. Does appealing to that tiny subset of the electorate, does that work for Democrats?
Yes, and most of those murders, by the way, were not hate crimes, although, of course, one murder is one too many. But no, you're absolutely right. This is absolutely pandering. It's virtue signaling. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make a difference in anyone's life.
Your reaction, Mark?
All Americans deserve to be remembered. All Americans should be treated equally. All Americans who've suffered horror need to be remembered.
Well, I hope they remember all the names of those children who were aborted, too, during her Rose Garden ceremony. Let's get to this very quickly. We also saw Bernie Sanders at one point in that debate, and they said, you know, it's time for the old white guys to go away. And Bernie Sanders said this.
Former President Obama said this week when asked who should be running countries, quote, "If you look at the world and look at the problems, it's usually old people, usually old men, not getting out of the way." Senator Sanders, you are the oldest candidate on stage this evening.
And I'm white as well. Yes.
Ali, did I miss the punchline? Very quickly.
Oh, that was so awkward. Intersectionality is a heck of a drug. Because they have such a lack of diversity on that stage, leftists have to be self-loathing about their skin color in order to make themselves feel better.
Guys, I have to leave it there. Thank you both. Ali, Mark, thank you so much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Coming up near